Perfect.
Okay, let's go.
Hey, hey, hey. Amazing. What up, everybody? My name is Valentina. Mami, welcome to Mami's house.
Woo! Wait, these buttons. I love it.
The number one podcast in the world. Just kidding, it's my second one. But everyone says that, so you know what? Let's manifest
Let's
it.
manifest it. Come on.
Yes. I am so excited. Today's going to be such a special episode. I mean, yesterday we had the Colombian soccer match. The energy is in the air. Tomorrow's 4th of July. I mean, just the vibes are so right. If you don't know me, I am a singer, actress, rapper. I was born in Colombia, raised in LA, and now podcaster. That's a little bit about me. If we haven't met, hello, nice to meet you. I am so excited. I have one of my best friends, an amazing person that I am so honored, so lucky to know. Someone that I share a lot of things in common with, and that's why I wanted to bring them on. Someone that's so wise, so knowledgeable, so smart for a young age. I mean, like, we met filming a movie, right? We've met on set like 2 years ago, something like that. Instantly clicked because we're like, oh, I'm Colombian, you're Colombian. You don't find Colombians often in LA. And we both go to church. We both are Christian, so we share these common beliefs. We have become great friends throughout the years. Someone who's been a support system and vice versa. We're there for each other. Came to my birthday party. Was just a very loving, generous, honest, real friend that I'm, again, so grateful, so lucky to know. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Sebastian Cintron.
Wow. This intro, oh my God, thank you so much. I'm so flattered and so honored to be here. This was, wow, like everything you said was so sweet. Thank you.
Of course.
I'm excited to be here, and we're both Colombian. We both have our shirts. I figured I wore the shirt, and Valentina saw me and she was like, oh my God, I'm changing. I'm getting the Colombian shirt. I can't believe you're wearing it. I have to go find mine. But no, yeah, we gotta rep where we're from.
This is my little brother's shirt, by the way. This is not mine. I know it looks ridiculous on me. I found this in a drawer from 2001.
Let's get into it, shall we?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay. I feel like there's not a lot of Colombians in LA. Mm-hmm. You grew up here. Yeah. I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Miami, and my parents migrated to Miami, and then I've been out in LA for a few years. But it's so rare when you come across someone who's Colombian and like is bilingual. I always get excited when I meet other people that speak Spanish, like other Latinos. That in and of itself is exciting. Like, having Hispanic friends that like you could do Hispanic friends with, or like, that's always been really cool. And then on top of that, Colombian, you don't meet too many people like that. So it's awesome that, we were able to kind of like connect in that way. And then also randomly found out that we also go to the same church, because that was a funny coincidence too. It wasn't like that was like a planned thing, like, oh, let's go to church. It was just, wow, okay, cool. So that's, I think after that was when we kind of like became closer and all that.
I love that fact, the fact that we both go to the same church, but the fact that we're both Christian, believe in Jesus, brought us closer, and it brings other people closer, like friends that like know each other but then share that. Like, that's happened to me with other people in my life, and I'm like, when we found out we go to the same church, it brought us so much closer together. Yeah.
It's cool. Like, I listened to Joanna's podcast, which was amazing, by the way. Her episode, if you guys haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. And I loved watching like how she brought you closer to faith, so that was really cool. How has it been like for you so far? Like, now that, you have this podcast and you get to talk about this.
I mean, it's a new thing, and it's something that people are really curious about, especially people that have been following me for a while. Like, this whole Christian, Jesus, God thing is so new to them, and everyone's like, what's going on? So I feel like I post snippets on my social medias, but no one really understands the story behind it and why this happened. So I felt like the podcast, and like not unravel it all in one episode, but slowly open up with people about how I gotten to the point that I am at, because I've gone through a million things. I've gone through a million changes. I mean, each year of my life, I'm a total different person. So I just feel like, you know, and God will guide you. And I feel like at this point in my life, I just felt like, yeah, I've had this gear, I've had this idea for a while, but everything at its right time. And I feel like I hit a point to be able to talk about it. And
the rebrand.
Exactly, the rebranding, which shifts a lot of things, and we'll get into it, but shifts how you act and how you think, especially living in LA, especially being an actor. I mean, share with us a little bit about your background, about your craft, how you ended up in LA.
Yeah. So, okay. I was born and raised in Miami. That's where I grew up, and I always knew I wanted to be an actor, but of course, you know, immigrant parents, immigrant family, like they wanted me to be a lawyer. They wanted me to go to school for other things. Eventually, you know, I did go to school. It wasn't for law. We kind of had a compromise. They're like, okay, you're not going to go to school for law or something. At least, you know, just promise us that you'll get an education. You have something to fall back on. So I chose journalism. So right after college, I became like a red carpet host, reporter type person, and it was great. I loved doing that. It was
you worked for Kylie Jenner and the Kardashians.
I did. That was in high school too. With fun fact, random fact. I don't know if a lot of people know that about me actually, but that was a random like period of my life that I did, and I think I learned a lot from them, and I think that's where my love for entertainment kind of began.
Totally.
And being around them and knowing how like possible it is and how hardworking they are, that was very inspiring for me too. College wise, I you know, after high school, I wanted to move straight to LA. I wanted to go to USC. I wanted to, you know, do the whole LA thing. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out. I got rejected from USC, which was my dream school. But, you know, it is what it is.
USC, you're wrong.
But what's crazy is that I had applied to universities in New York too, and there was this one school called St. John's, and it's a Catholic university, and that was a school that, you know, I had just applied to it because I was like, let me just apply to it. That's the school that gave me the most money. That's the school that, you know, gave me like scholarships. And so I just I took it as a sign. I was like, you know what? I think that this is where God kind of wants me to go. So I'm just going to take it. And, you know, what are the chances? What are the odds? You know?
Sure.
So I took it. I moved to New York. Very grateful for that chapter. Grateful for that period. I don't regret it at all. I think that I definitely needed the thick skin that New York gives you. I grew up I grew up in a happy, healthy home. I grew up, you know, in Miami. Like things were great, things were fine, you know, have a good relationship with both of my parents. So I think I don't know, I think I definitely needed that thickness and skin before I came to like LA that New York gave me, because it was like rough, like growing up and having to, you know, take the subway and face the cold and all the gruesomeness things that go beyond that. And so eventually I found my way to LA right after college, and then started working in entertainment, and here we are.
I love that grit and that decision and that just going for it, kind of tying into working for the Kardashians. We see like these celebrities and it seems like such a far stretch and a far goal, but once you witness that type of work ethic and that environment, you're like, okay, this is possible. It just really takes hard work. And so that's cool that you had that example. And then doing New York, living alone in New York, like we were just in New York and I'm like, this is so scary. Like it's dope, but it's scary. And then if you don't have thick skin, LA will eat you up, and you could either get into drugs and like be on the street, or I don't know, or get into something sketchy, because there's crazy opportunities and crazy situations that you can find in LA and get yourself in. And if you don't have thick skin, if you're not strong or whatever, it's hard to get out, which I've been involved. I've been sucked up by LA. I've had to learn. I've had to fall. The
temptation is real out here. It is.
And speaking on temptation, I want to bring up what we talk about this all the time. We obviously love to party, It's in us. It's in our blood. Está en la sangre. Nos encanta rumbear. You grew up in Miami. I lived in Miami. I toured in Miami. Miami's fun.
It's fun. It's the saying rings true. Growing up, we had this saying: "We live where you vacation."
Yeah.
And like everyone, you know, and I don't take it for granted at all. Like I always knew Miami was special, and it's like a great place, and I love it there. But yeah, no, we're Colombian, and it's so hard because I feel like los colombianos somos pachangueros. Like we love, nos encanta la rumba. Like it is what it is. So that's how, you know, we grew up, we were raised. I'm sure your parents, your family, it's in the culture. So it's hard coming from just being an extrovert. I think you can relate to that, where you just love like being surrounded by people, and you love like dancing, and you love and you're a creative and you're a performer, and so I know you love dancing, I know you love performing and singing and doing all that. So when you are naturally like that, it's so easy to kind of just want to be everywhere and here and there, and like it kind of energizes you a bit to some people are homebodies, and some people don't love that, and some people, you know, at least for me, like I do love going out, and I do love, you know, hanging out with friends, and I get energized by that. But I think as you get older, I think, and as I stepped into faith and all that stuff, I think I've learned to kind of dial it down a little bit, because it is important to say no to things, know what to say yes to. And it's a lot. You can get lost in the sauce. Yes.
You said something important. You have to know what to say no to, when to say no. And I think with age, and the older you get, the easier it is to like fall into. All right, we had a little intermission because, and I don't know, you tell me if you relate to this, but like, I didn't sleep too well, and then I chugged a bunch of like caffeine, and now I get super dizzy, and it's been happening to me the last like month, jittery. So I think I've just accepted that I can't drink caffeine, and I just have to raw dog life with all this natural, amazing energy that Jesus has blessed me with, and that's it. We're gonna run with that. So
period.
Speaking of substances and outside world, like I was saying, you know, we come from partying. We both are in this same entertainment. We need to go out and network. We're both in LA. How do you feel like we can have a balance with what we do, partying, and also the fact that we have Jesus incorporated in our lives? How do we know good from bad? Where do we see, or how do we place ourselves in the party, like just in this networking? Because partying is a very touchy subject, where if you go too far left, you're bad. If you go too far right, it's bad. So tell us how you feel about finding the balance.
I think when it comes to that, everyone is different, and everyone finds their footing in different ways as well. I think people go through eras, and they go through chapters, they go through, you know, moments. Sometimes some people sooner than later, and sometimes, you know, if you do it really young, you like get it out of your system, and then you're bored of it, and then boom, that's it, you move on. Or sometimes people learn the hard way, and maybe, you know, they get into a car accident, or something like bad happens to them, or they have, you know, everyone's testimony or the thing that kind of pulls them out is different for everyone. And some people are like, for me, I would say I kind of, you know, I grew up with strict parents in the sense of like a lot was riding on my shoulders. I grew up as an only child. I'm a guy. I feel like a lot of the pressure of like, oh my gosh, like I have to be smart, I have to be studious, I have to make it. That was always there for me I have to take care of my parents when I'm older. So there is a little bit of pressure when it comes to, you know, being a man and having that kind of expectation of, with immigrant families, just telling you like, okay, you have to go to school. We didn't move here for nothing. No vinimos a este país for you to like fool around and fuck around, you know, like, excuse my language. But so there's always that. I think I grew up always having that in the back of my head. And so I was always really hard on myself and very strict with myself. Like, okay, like I was a straight A student. I was very nerdy in school. I knew I needed to go to college. And so that whole thing kind of, but then it's a balance, right? Because I'm not a carrot, and I feel like at the end of the day, like, no puede ser zanahoria, which is a Colombian slang where it's like you can't be like, you know, it's you can't always be such a goody two shoes, because then, like, what are you gonna do? Be antisocial, not have any friends? Like, you know, everything in moderation, everything in balance. And I think, you know, we go through moments in life where we kind of like learn, and we have to figure out our limits, and we have to figure out like how to just kind of navigate through things. And it's hard. It's really hard. It's hard.
Each person, I mean, to each their own, and each person has their different story of their different way of finding balance. Like, maybe some people, it's a very black and white situation. Like, it's a hard no. So, you know, you can't put yourself in that environment, and that's okay. And I think finding Jesus for me, like, it replaced addictions. And as someone who I feel like I was very extreme, like, I'm either sober or I'm blackout. Like, there's no like tipsy, none of that. And I just, throughout the years, it was something that I fought. And I'm like, why can't I like just do things in moderation? And if I tried and I practiced and I learned, and a lot of it is with age as well. The older I got, the less you prioritize partying and being at this and having, and like, you know, I like to have fun, but my fun is not a priority for me. Like, and sometimes that's not healthy. Sometimes that's not healthy because me doy palo. Like, I give myself shit. I'm really hard on myself. I mean, you know me, you know, like, work is my life, and I'm working. I feel guilty when I'm partying, but there's a time and a place, and it's also not going to that extreme of like antisocial, no friends, no nothing. I have taken times of like solitude that I need to be on my own and like work on myself and self-growth. But I was telling you, I heard a sermon by Judah at church home, and it was on YouTube, but it was like, go to the party with Jesus. You can pray and be at the party. You can go party with Jesus. Like, what would you do if Jesus is with you at a party? You know, you're not railing lines in the bathroom. You're not doing the most. You're not acting crazy.
Right. Yeah.
You're social. You're happy. You're bringing joy to other people. You're enjoying yourself. And then at a healthy time, cool, I'm going to go to bed and then like start my week, start my day, not like be hungover in bed. And I mean, we've all been there. We've all done it. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. Anxiety is a big thing. Like, I'll wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I'm the worst. But, you know, Jesus's first miracle was turning water to wine. So the Bible says like drunkenness is a sin, not drinking, but that and it talks a lot about like just not going overboard. Facts.
I think, Erwin McManus, he posted a reel the other day on his Instagram, and he's the Mosaic pastor, by the way. He posted a reel and he said something about how like even in faith, like if you're too obsessed with faith and you like take it way too far, even that isn't healthy. Like it's still, so you can't really be like too far this, too far that. Like, everything in moderation, everything in balance, and what that looks like for everyone is different. I think everyone knows themselves, and they know, like, you know, if putting yourself in an environment where, you know, it's tempting to do certain things, okay, well then, you know, not to put yourself in that kind of environment. So you know, you can't be so hard on yourself either. I think oftentimes we can be hard on ourselves, and it's okay. Like, we've all made mistakes. We've all been in situations that we shouldn't have. And I think with age, we learn to be more kind to ourselves, and we learn to that, like, it's okay to have fun every once in a while. It's okay. Everything in moderation. I used to be super strict and super like, oh my God, not gonna do anything, not gonna do this. And then
that's amazing, because I was the exact opposite. Now I'm strict on myself. Before, I like do whatever you want.
I used to I was raised by my grandma, and she was like a biochemist, and so she was very strict too. And so it wasn't, she died when I was 21.
Oh, wow.
And so having her in my ear, it was always kind of like, like, you can't fuck up. You have to do this. You have to do that. And so everything I did was kind of to like make her proud.
Wow.
And she meant a lot to me. And so after her, you know, when she passed, I feel like for me is when I realized that life is short, you know? And so I was also in a relationship shortly after that. And I learned too that like you can't really just be so like because I was that kid, I shit you not, like I used to carry hand sanitizer in my pocket in middle school. People would come to me and
nerd.
I was a nerd, I was a germ freak, you name it. People would come to me and they'd be like, Sebastian, my hands are dirty, can I get some Germex? And I'd be like, oh, here you go, I got you. I don't know,
those like, are my favorite kids in school.
I was so like one particular way, it was crazy. And so it wasn't until I got older and like came to LA and so I learned to kind of like loosen the reins a little bit on myself because you know, life is short. And I think I learned that through my grandma's passing, that like, okay, so we work so hard and we beat ourselves up constantly. Right. And then what happens if, you know, God forbid, but like what happens if we're crossing the street and a bus hits us, you know, or what happens if we're like, youth is temporary. Yeah. And like one day there's gonna come a point in time where we're 50 and we don't have the health, our bodies aren't able to, you know, scale Mount Everest. Like, so when you're young is like, this is the time to travel and to experience life and to do things. And so, but it's hard. It's that balance, you know, it's all about balance and moderation. And I think I'm a big believer in that, and I think I finally found that, like, that place, because, you know, sometimes we go through moments where we might abuse it or we might do too much, you know?
Yeah, I feel like you found that place too, and I look up to you in a sense because, you know, we did Coachella, you did EDC, I think you did Stagecoach, and then you went to Vegas, and I mean, I see you out here, but you work really hard, you know your limits, you know how to go enjoy, stop and go home, and the way that you give yourself grace and give yourself permission to enjoy is such a beautiful and healthy way to do it. As Christians and as just humans, we are so not in the right to judge anyone. And I was about to say something judgmental, but I cut myself. But what I was kind of gearing towards is that sometimes you see people who are out here partying and stuff, but you can tell that it's coming from a place of pain and trying to fill a void. I was someone that would be out partying trying to fill a void, and that's why I would go overboard and it would be unhealthy. So you have found a place where you go and you enjoy it for the enjoyment, because you're young, because life is short. So your reasons are so valid, and that's why you can have like a good time. I'm still trying to find that place because I didn't grow up with strict parents. I was very rebellious. Like at 13, I was like, I'm out, peace, and I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want. I got kicked out of every school. Like no one could tell me what to do. And on my own, I mean, my poor mom, who you grew up as a single mother. My grandma also raised me. My dad was in Colombia. It wasn't like a unhealthy thing. It was just like visa reasons. Like he couldn't be around, but no one could control me, and they tried, and they really did. And I had to go through rock bottoms and hit walls and like fall upwards to get to know myself, get to know my limits, and I'm still trying to find that. It's not I swear this is my ghetto. I mean, guys, my ghetto makeshift. My Nespresso machine is holding this up right now, and like some duct tape. So if it falls, I'm sorry. We're trying to figure it out. I don't want to ruin the wall. So.
But Vala, can you imagine like growing up in LA? I mean, come on. Like that's crazy to me.
Growing up in LA, but I also grew up with like a mother who was like a super hot model, who was like in the industry. Like the environments I was in from a kid were like out of a movie, you know, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful for it. But that comes with its own, like, in a way, repercussions. You know, it's very different from growing up in like a Christian, religious, strict, two parents together, blah, 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 loving household versus like this really hot mom and this entertainment world where, you know, everyone's trying their best. There's no rule book. There's no manual for any parent. I'm very grateful and appreciative of my mother. She did the best. My grandma did the best they could. But you know, fast forward to the woman I am today, I've had to learn and endure so much on my own, and I'm so grateful, and God had a plan and he knew what he was doing when he, you know, put me in this family and put me in this situation. And yeah, I'm really happy and grateful. We both had really different upbringings, but here we are together. We worked in the same things. We have same friends. We have same visions. We have same goals. So just goes to show where no matter what your background is, we're all on this journey, and it's up to you to make those decisions on yourself once you're an adult or, you know, even young.
I love what you said, first of all, and I love how you said it, because I think that's the whole point, right? The whole point is to kind of like go on a journey on your own and figure it out, because sometimes, you know, you can't go on that journey for other people, and other people can't go on that journey for you. Like, you just kind of have to do it and do the hard work and kind of get to that place. And yeah, like you said, everyone's testimony is different. I feel like it's funny like that you say all that too, because it's not that I even was like super religious growing up or anything per se, but I was born and raised Catholic. I kind of hated going to church. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
For sure, same.
I hated going to church.
I thought
it was so boring. I hated going. It was just like, this is the sacrament of our faith. Lord, hear our prayer.
En español, Padre nuestro que estás en los cielos, santificado sea tu nombre.
It was so boring to me, and so it was like, obviously I just did it because it was like my parents. You know, you get baptized, you do your first communion, what have you, and so I definitely fell out of it for sure. For like high school, college, I fell out of it, and then I think when you're an adult, there's always kind of like a switch that like it's like God almost calling you back.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of like he's like, okay, you know, you think you're hot shit, you wanna go do your thing, you wanna go, like, okay, go off yes. and go off, king, go off, queen, like
go queen,
like,
go off on with Satan,
and do your thing and see how that works out for you.
Oh my goodness.
And then it's not until you get to a point where it's kind of like, you don't even have to get pulled in. It's sometimes you go from your own volition. Wow. You go on your own because you feel like, oh wow, like there's more for me. There's like, I kind of need this. Like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of like maybe the way that you've been living or what have you. And I think for me, like, after I was in a, you know, I was in a like serious relationship, and so after that breakup and stuff, we still went to church throughout and here and then, but it's not like I was going consistently.
Right.
And so after that, going through that experience was when I was like, wow, I felt alone. There was a period of loneliness, because I think any breakup, you feel like lonely.
All of us.
And I think too, you know, with friend groups, if you have mutual friends, it's kind of like some people pick and choose. And it was a little complicated. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna start going to church, because I always feel better when I go to church. Sure. And so I started going, and I felt better, and it was just a great, you know, time, and it was a great period. And I'm also the type of person where I feel like if you're going through something, like, maybe it's just my type A personality, I always wanna, like, okay, let's rip off the Band-Aid, let's go through it, let's do the work, sign up for therapy, let's do it all, read the books, let's do it, you know. Whereas maybe some other people are not like that intense. But I was like, I'm not gonna let myself get sad, I'm not gonna let myself get depressed, I'm not gonna let myself, like, let's go, you know. And
that takes so much strength. I commend you for that.
I'm not perfect. I think, you know, I was like, maybe it came from a place of just desperately just trying to be okay. Yeah. And so I was like, whatever, like, let's do it, like anything to be okay, right? And so I think that's when you know, faith came in for me, and then I got rebaptized as an adult. Wow. And the church I was going to, the community, I felt very warm and embraced. It was like a warm blanket around me, you know, metaphorically speaking, of course. But that's how it was. That I feel like that's kind of like my testimony. And I felt like now when you're older, you kind of you can understand the message and you can resonate, and plus I feel like the churches here in LA are fun, and they're enjoyable, and people are so talented here. Like the people who are a part of the church is like they're wonderful singers, like, and so it's fun. And
fun.
There's like lights and music. And
I brought him to church, and he's like, "This is amazing." As someone who like it was like a concert.
People are like, "Is this a concert? What's going on?" And I think that's cool too, because then you can relate to it more, and it appeals to you more. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, and thank you for sharing that testimony. I want to put the clap. Oh wait, that was a laugh. Never mind. We don't laugh. They switch. I swear, the orange was normally the clap. Now it's the laugh. Thank you for sharing that testimony, and I love hearing everyone's background of. Because even Joanna brought up in the last pod, she's like, you're going to church as a kid, you're not paying attention, it's not resonating, you probably think it's annoying. I grew up Catholic. I would go to church in Colombia. I did my first communion. I hated it. I'm like, all this is mumbo jumbo. None of y'all know what you're talking about. You're relying on these like fake things to like win the lottery or something, and it's just not gonna happen. And then I pulled away, and Jesus was like, yeah, go have fun, go fall, go do this, go do that, go to jail, like all the crazy stuff. Go do that, and you will come back to me when you need it, when the time is right. At 17, long story short, I just went through a really tough relationship really young, went through a lot of trauma really young, and I got stomach ulcers and stuff. And my stepdad at that time was really there for me and would give me books. And so I started reading, and then that shifted me away from like being a crazy like teenager. So I knew religion was always a thing. I never really like was into it. It wasn't until, and I think this is something we had in common when we first were filming the movie, I was going through a breakup. You were kind of going through a breakup. And that breakup to me is what led me to Christ, because I did everything that I could. I did therapy. I read the books. I read the horoscopes, the tarot readings on YouTube every day. Like I did everything, and just nothing was helping. And I'm like, how could I forgive this? How is someone capable of hurting another human so bad? Right. And then I went to church just because like my friend invited me, and I was back on the streets. Not back on the streets, but I'm like, all right, whatever. I need to like not be emo. I go to church, and just the message that I heard that night was like, the snake bit you, don't let it poison your heart, and forgive people. And I was like blown away. And ever since that, I didn't miss a Sunday and Bible study. So it's like, a heartbreak led me back to Jesus. And I'm also a type A personality where I'm like, I need the therapy, I need the help, I need to fix this. I want to go through it, not around it. Right. And going to church is like free therapy. I mean, it's fun. There's music. There's a great message. They're never like, it's never judgmental. I mean, Mosaic looks like a Yeezy fashion show. Like everyone is so fly.
Everyone is so fly.
It's so at noon. Like it's the best vibe.
Yeah, it is a really cool vibe, and I'm honestly so happy and thankful for that. And I think that's what's so cool about this, modern Christianity and new wave, is that people are getting with the times. I love the way some pastors speak nowadays. It resonates, it hits. They pose it in a way where like we can digest it. Yes. It's not like straight up reading from the Bible. Like they'll say a passage, but then they'll explain and attach a story where we can actually like, oh, okay, so imagine if, Matthew was sliding into your DMs, or
perfect.
They make it so, like for you to understand. And I think that's so cool. And it's a way that now we actually feel like we could relate.
We can relate and still respect, the Bible, right. Still respect Jesus. And like, I think there was a sermon I went to where this dude called us out. He's like, y'all are treating Jesus like he's your homie. He's not your homie. You are to respect that man like your father. Like he put us all in check. And it's like, fair. You're right. We've dumbed it down a little too much, which is we dumb everything down. This species generation, we've dumbed a lot of things down to make it more quick and digestible, which is fine. But we still have to maintain that respect. And I think having respect for another human is something that teaches us and makes us really like understand and treat it like a serious thing. Like when we get booked on an acting job, we take it serious. We respect it. We respect the director, the writer. Any job that we take, we show some respect because we need to be grateful for the life that we have. We have food, we have shelter, we have so much that God is generously blessing us with. So I still try to dress nice to church. I still try to
we really are so blessed.
We're so blessed. We have a voice, we have so much, and we need to just pour out that blessing. We need to pour out that love that God has put into us, and just, again, back to respecting. But I'd like Erwin at Mosaic, he also says, like, he wrote a book and he's like, I'm not here to tell you to sit on your butt and not do anything because Jesus has you. He's like, no, Jesus gave you tools. He gives you life. He gives you knowledge. He puts so many tools. You have to get up and still do the work. I think a lot of people believe like, well, you believe in God and you're just going to sit around and wait for things to happen. Like, you guys are delusional. And it's like, no. We work hard. We learn to rest. We learn to be grateful, but we still work hard.
For sure.
And you're someone that works really hard. So tell us how you like maintain that work faith balance.
You know that quote, luck meets opportunity and hard work and whatever. I don't know the whole quote at the top of my head right now, but y'all know the quote. I think it's a mix of that. It's a mix of God. It's a mix of spirituality and manifesting. It's a mix of hard work. It's a mix of it all. Like if you like crystals, okay, cool. Do your thing. Do your crystals. If you love Jesus, awesome. Believe in Jesus. I feel like, why not embrace all this positive things, because let's embrace it all, Yes. And so I feel like hard work, and I've always, what I explain to people is like, yes, I'm very blessed, yes, I'm very lucky, yes, I feel very grateful, and I love Jesus, and I feel like he's done a lot of things for me. And it's kind of like, how could you not believe in Jesus?
Yes.
How could you not, like, to think that everything, that like, what is it, just the universe?
Yeah.
Is it just the stars? Sure. But to think that there isn't someone amazing pulling, like a puppeteer up above, pulling strings for us. Like, come on, he pulls some major strings for us. Sometimes I'm like, like, yes, I work hard, and yes, I'm lucky, and yes, all that, but I'm also like, wow, there's just no way to explain it other than like, God did that.
Yeah.
And so I'm a huge believer in that, and I think when you work hard, you get rewarded.
I love that. I also believe, I call it magic just because like it's cute, and I love to believe in magic, because there's things that are just magical, like you said. There's like no
unexplainable.
There's
right?
no explanation. There's just no explanation, and I think magic is real. Sometimes I get down. Sometimes I get moments of doubt. Sometimes I get moments of negativity, and I'm like, maybe there's no magic and nothing's real, and what the heck, and maybe you don't want me to, like, all these complaints. But I have to stop and sit back. And I remember at one of the sermons, they told us to write down every prayer that's been answered, and I go through that list, and I'm like, there's just no way that this got answered without God, because some of them some of my prayers I didn't have to work hard for. I just had to pray, and it happened. So yeah, I think
you like shock yourself sometimes when you look back. I what you're saying, I do like vision boards, and I have a vision board on my phone right now. Actually, I can't I'm like clearing my notifications to show y'all, but it's you probably can't see. Anywho,
sick.
On my phone, I'll show you. On my phone, it's like my background. I'll do like a collage of everything, and so I do it every couple months. And so when you look back at it and you see like all the things that have come to fruition, and you're like, what? Oh my God, it's crazy. It blows our mind.
Someone told me a while ago, a music producer, because we were talking about vision boards, and he's like, some of the things on that vision board won't come about exactly how you expected, but one way or another. And I've looked at vision boards that I've made, because I make them often too, and things have happened, not exactly, but in some shape or form, something happened with that,
right? Which
is crazy.
Crazy.
And you said, like, whether you believe in crystals, whether you believe in this and that, I think, there's Christians that are very like, because the Bible does say that's brujeria, and that, don't put any idols above me. I think if something makes you a positive person and your heart is in a right place, I think God is a religion of love. And the Bible has its laws and its reasoning behind its laws. I think we should follow it for the most part, but let's not lose sight of the fact that love is the core of everything. And I go back to that always, and I'm like, Jesus, this happened. Let me look at this person with love. Even like, okay, this person does brujeria, whatever. Like, let's go back to love and be an example of love, and just remember that that's what he wants for us. He doesn't want us punishing anyone. He doesn't want us judging anyone, whether you believe in him or not. Christians and people that believe in God, when they come from a place of love, you can see that radiating from them. You know, they're very loving. Absolutely. They're very welcoming. I pray and I ask that if you don't believe in this stuff or whatever, don't let people that are judgmental and like, oh, shame on her, scare you away, because we're not like that. Our church isn't like that. Many churches aren't like that. Many Christians aren't like that. We're so loving and we receive you with open arms, and all, like, we don't ask for money. Obviously the donations and the tithing just goes towards like being able to spread the message more. But just know you are so welcome. You're so loved, and we just want you to feel better. It makes me feel better. It makes you feel better. It makes millions of people around the world feel better. And that's our goal.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said.
Amazing. Well, we probably have hit our hour mark now. We talked and we touched on a lot of amazing things. Is there something you want to leave us off? Advice, suggestions, feelings, one last moment?
What you said there towards the end was great. I think people do get a little, like, religion can be a bit intimidating for some. I don't know. I feel like sometimes people feel like maybe like, because it's like they might feel judged, or they might feel like if like, okay, I'm not, I think, how do I say this? I think the way people might think of it is because they're assuming that if they aren't, you know, perfect or walking in this fashion or walking in this way, then they feel like they are not worthy of, you know, God or God's love or religion or whatever. There's been a lot of people in my life that I feel might have felt this way. There's been friends and people that I've like brought
even
to church. Even
subconsciously, even they don't admit it, and they're like, nah, like, fuck that. They brought like subconsciously. Right.
And so and then I'll take them and like they feel better after or what have you. I think what you said is, I'm so like this right now, because it's like, no, I feel like everyone is welcome and everyone is accepted, and that's the whole point. That's the whole point. Like, you don't have to be perfect.
From the beginning of time, the first 12 disciples, the point is you're welcomed, and we're here to teach love. Yeah,
you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be and to feel that like love or whatever. Yeah. And the when people got baptized at Mosaic that one time, and everyone was like, it was so cool to see like how many people got baptized, but on top of that, they made like space for like, okay, if there's any last people here who, you know, maybe didn't think about doing it, but you're here now supporting your friend, like if you want to do it, raise your hand. Wow. It was crazy to see like how many people were like, you know what, okay, I'm down. Like some people just like did it, and so that was really cool to see too, because, you know, it's okay
to see what leading by example does.
Exactly.
Like, I'm gonna say that again because my voice cracked. To see what leading by example does. A good example of a person is so motivating, so inspirational. I love like, you know, my mom's been a great example. Random person, Caro G, like, people are just set amazing examples. So I challenge people to set a good example if you can, where you can, with the little that you can. Even if you're a gangster, but you open the door for someone, or you throw your, like, it's just dumb little things, but like, just those little things are enough. If you don't litter, but you've done crazy stuff, come to church. And those are random examples, but it's like, none of us are perfect. We're all born sinners, pretty much. The default is negativity, but you're still in a safe place where you're welcome, where you're loved, where you're heard, where you're hugged. And if that's all you walk away with, you know, you walk out of church and you still sin, it's okay. You're still welcome back. But eventually the love of God and the example of our fellow positive friends will bleed into you, and then you will just be an expression. We all have the Holy Spirit, and at the end of the day, I want to walk and talk like Jesus. I'm so far from that.
And also too, like, we will probably sin again.
For sure. Like my song says, I might sin again. Like, I'm a human.
Right. We might sin again. We might do something that is not Jesus-like. We're not perfect. What if one day, we get mad and we get a little bit of road rage and we're just like, we like flick someone.
¡Hijo de puta!
Come mierda. Oh my God. We hope that doesn't happen. But the thing is, like, also, like, okay, we're human. Don't beat yourself up, And I think I'm a big believer in that too, because I feel like sometimes people in the community can, like, be a little bit like, oh my gosh, well, like, you posted on your stories this, and like you were doing this or we're doing that, and it's like, come on now, like let's. The point is, like you said, that we have this guidebook, and we have this beautiful book, the Bible, and it's great to live by it, and as long as we put our best foot forward every day, and we try to live by example, and we try to be kind people, that that's what matters, is that we put our best foot forward.
I love that. Wow, where's the clap? Was that the clap?
I think that might have been the clap.
Was that clap? The cricket. I'm still learning the buttons, y'all.
Imagine if you had. I'm like talking, and I'm like here, and then you put the cricket. You put the crickets during my.
For next episode, I'll figure out these. They change, but anyway, that was a beautiful way to end this conversation.
I think so too.
I'm so grateful to have you here today. You're amazing. You're a genius. You're such a good person. Share with us your Instagram, any projects, something that you want the world to know.
Yeah, so my Instagram is at Sebas Cintron, Sebas Cintron. I know Val will probably drop the link in the description below. Everyone, swipe up, subscribe to this podcast. Go listen to Val's new song, which I got a little snippet and glimpse a couple months ago. And when she told me she was, gonna drop this, and I heard it, I was like, oh my God. I was so impressed and shocked, and it was great to see that you were making a song about this, and the video came out, or it's coming out soon. It's out. Yeah. Okay, it's lit. And that's great. I actually, you told me to plug, shameless self plug, but I did a movie called 47 Days with Jesus that was in theaters. It came out in theaters in March, which
I auditioned for and didn't get the part.
It's okay. There will be others. So tell me why that, like, the first movie of mine that goes to theaters,
exactly, oh my God,
it happens to be a movie that is, like, related to God. That blew me away, because I feel like I've done small parts, I've done small things here and there, like I've gone on hundreds of auditions at this point, and then this movie, like, that was
the big blessing.
That was really, like, beautiful, and that was
God is so good.
God is so good. And he's gonna continue to be good.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast. I'd love for you to finish us off with a prayer. Do you mind?
A prayer? Ooh, oh my God, I'm getting put on the spot here.
It can be as simple as, like, God, thank you for this day.
How am I gonna top Joanna's prayer?
I can't. No, none of us can.
Okay. All right. I can't reach. Daniel's in the back, and I'm, like, reaching out for his hand. God, thank you for, giving us the space and this platform to talk and share. And thank you to Valentina for allowing me to be on this podcast and talk a little bit more about myself and herself, and get deep and real here. God, thank you for continuously blessing us with, your love and your devotion, and proving to us that having you by our sides, you can never steer us wrong. Like that saying in Spanish goes, si Dios contigo, ¿quién contra ti? And thank you for allowing us that to be okay, and to make mistakes, and for always being there for us. Amen.
Amen. That was beautiful. Yay, thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into this episode of Mami's House. Les mando saludos, mucho amor, y Viva Colombia.
Viva Colombia.
Ciao.